and welcome to the 5th Estate Minutiae. This is our show at Akweya TV where we bring you a special focus on an issue that we know should be of interest to you. In this episode, we are talking about artificial intelligence generated images and whether they are actually worsening the xenophobic thoughts and division within Africa at the Africa Cup of Nations AFCON 2023 going on in Cote d'Ivoire. Before we progress, I'd like you to like this show, share it with all your friends, and also subscribe to our channel. And if you do that, we'll be very pleased. If you also click on the notification bell, that will remind you each time we bring you such interesting conversations. Now, the ongoing Africa Cup of Nations is nothing short of intense. If you look at everything that has happened, the surprises and all that have gone into the Africa Cup of Nations, where big names are being eliminated, you would know that there's been a lot of intense emotions, a lot of surprises. But within those surprises are also lots of things that have not changed. And one of it is the rivalry between many nations, including Nigeria, Cameroon, Nigeria, South Africa, Nigeria, Ghana, and all. This has taken a whole life of its own on social media. If you look at what happened from South Africa, the Nigerian High Commission in South Africa had to issue an advisory before the Nigeria-South Africa match and said Nigerians should mind where they watch the match and also how they jubilate during or after the match. Now, the Department of International Relation and Cooperation in South Africa said that advisory was rather unfortunate and regrettable. But Nigerian High Commission says it's because of the inflammatory statements they have been tracking online, and that's why they had to issue that advisory to Nigerians. You wouldn't blame them actually, because from the kind of xenophobic attacks that have taken place since 1994, when South Africa became independent, there is a lot of cause for any African to worry. Interesting that on an African soil, Africans are having more cause to worry than whites in the same country. Over 1,000 people have been killed in about 600 different xenophobic attacks in South Africa since independence. There have been thousands of shops that have been looted and injuries to a lot of non-South Africans, especially Nigerians, Zimbabweans, and all. There is a historical context to all of this, and let's examine that. When South Africa was seeking independence, Nigerians committed a lot of resources to the independence of South Africa. There were many groups that collected contributions from Nigerians, individual Nigerians, for the liberation of South Africa. The Nigerian government actually collected contributions from Nigerians to the liberation of South Africa. Of course, because of apartheid that was operating in South Africa at the time, many male South Africans particularly had no job. Many female South Africans had jobs maybe as domestic servants or as teachers, but the male were seen as targets because they were busy fighting for independence. Of course, then at independence, the people who were available to work were the other Africans who went on technical aid support and other kinds of support, trooping into South Africa to support them, but at the same time taking advantage of the opportunities to provide services that South Africans probably did not have the skills at the time or the economic wherewithal to set up systems to provide. And this became a situation where the well-to-do Africans were now seen as the ones who were taking up opportunities for Africans. So each time there is lamentation about the shortage of opportunities for South Africans, the fingers are pointed at non-South Africans who were supposedly taking up their place. Of course, this was also being fueled by the white South Africans who pumped a lot of resources to ensure that those narratives stayed alive and well. Now, looking at the situation with Cameroon, you'll see that there's also a history around that. Nigeria and Cameroon's, as far back as 1961, had a situation where the United Nations had to organize a plebiscite for the ones at the border to decide whether they wanted to belong to Nigeria or belong to Cameroon. Those in the northern part, in that plebiscite, voted to be in Nigeria. Those on the southern part voted to belong to Cameroon. The northern part that belonged to Nigeria were in the local government that is now known as Sardauna local government mostly. And those in South Africa, in the southern part that chose to belong to Cameroon were the ones in the area that is mostly now known as Bakassi, although there are other territories that were involved. But it's interesting also to note that the plebiscite happened on the 11th and 12th of February 1961, which will be 63 years ago by Sunday, when the finals of the Africa Cup of Nations will be played between Nigeria and Cote d'Ivoire. Now, that plebiscite, in 1994, when General Sani Abacha decided to annex Bakassi militarily, this precipitated the whole conflict between Nigeria and Cameroon. And in another video, if you check, I'll put the link in the description, you're going to see a renowned Nigerian professor of borderland studies, Professor Anthony Ijaola Asiwaju, who says that Bakassi never belonged to Nigeria. You'll see the link in the description, and hopefully that's going to be one amazing video you watch. Now, it's been known that the algorithms of social media are not favorable to placatory comments that are meant to, it's emotions that the algorithms of social media tend to favor. They play a very significant role in shaping public opinion. A study from years ago said that algorithms tend to be biased when it's trying to detect things like hate speech, and it's particularly biased against Black people. And that's worse when you think of the bias against Africans. Now, the ethical implications of these algorithms are complex and they require careful consideration. Now, in 2021, there's an article by one Tomiwa Onaleye that was published in Tech Next, and he said controversy and bad news are trending on Twitter, and that's normal, right? But the research he's referring to also showed that 6 out of 10 trends were all controversies. So the algorithms tend to bring up controversial topics. Now, when you now have negative memes that are being shared, then the artificial intelligence tends to throw them up higher. Don't forget that also AI, generative AI, has made it a lot easier at the moment to also generate these memes and cartoons and other images. So one other factor you would take a look at is the fact that Africa is the youngest continent across the globe. And because it's the youngest continent, having the median age of 20, while the median age in India is 27, and the median age in the Americas is 38, you then see that the African continent is made up mainly of millennials and Gen Z. These are people that are less inhibited in how they express themselves because they are not attached to any history or tradition or culture. And so they tend to express themselves as the emotions allow. And the platforms that they use, the devices that they use, mean that they are alone with no inhibitions and they express anything they want to express. These are the factors that contribute greatly to the kind of emotions that we see in the Africa Cup of Nations with the rise of generative AI. So, as we explore this, let's delve into some of the trends that we're seeing at AFCON 2023. AI-generated images and memes and cartoons are flooding social media, and it's intensifying these emotions that we've already talked about. Now, I will share with you a selection just for you to understand the weight of what we're discussing.
Oh yeah, hold the Grammy, raise and may everybody see. If that Grammy fall, what did you talk just now? Me? I'm not talking anything. Shut up!
These visuals, though entertaining, they are contributing to the tensions and they are emphasizing the need for moderation and the ways they are created and disseminated. If you look at the clash between Nigeria and South Africa, one recent event contributed to that, and that is the Amap effect and the Grammy Awards. People call the Nigeria-South Africa match the Amap Derby, and the videos I'll share with you now also will buttress that and the conflict, because people say when Nigeria takes someone's music or someone's property, Nigerians turn it around and own it and publicize it heavily, as they did to Azonto from Ghana and many other trendy types of music. So Amapiano has this same effect.
South Africa brought Amapiano, but Nigeria made Amapiano what it is today. We made Amapiano more sounds and more appreciable in the world today. We took Amapiano to the highest level. That's our job.
They started, yes, they started,
yes,
but
people brought
we give
this
them
song.
the credit.
We brought Amapiano, but we took it and we put it in value.
You know, the thing about Nigerians, they take something from other people, modify it and make it even better. So, but I'll give the originality to South Africans. But when it comes to making it go viral, making it really, acceptable all over, I think it's Nigeria.
So, the Amapiano Derby or the Amapiano clash, as was said, added a musical twist to the football narrative. Recall that South African singer Tyler won the Best African Music Performance category at the recent 66 Grammy Awards. And she did that at the expense of 4 mighty megastars from Nigeria: Davido, Burna Boy, Ashake, and Era Star. These are supposed to be Africa's biggest artists being beaten by a newbie who had a very amazing song that's known globally.
And the Grammy goes to Water, Tyler.
So defeating this big artist, South Africans also made it very loud and rubbed it in earlier. So coming into this and coming in as the underdog in the match between Nigeria and South Africa at AFCON 2023 meant that, hey, South Africans needed to say they had come of age and they needed to defeat Nigeria. And all the memes started pouring out from South Africa.
Williams, denied by Williams! Patrick Andrade against Ronan Williams. Williams sends South Africa into the semi-finals for the first time since...
So let's go for a draw, then extra time, anybody can win with penalties.
Nigeria or South Africa?
It's about Nigeria. Nigeria must win. Whether you like it or not.
Why are you so confident about Nigeria?
You are my wife.
Football continues to unify Nigerians, as you see in the cartoon where abductees and even their kidnappers jointly were screaming, "Up Super Eagles, a goal!" It's incredible how sports can transcend boundaries despite all the historical tensions. And we hope that at the Africa Cup of Nations, the incidents of xenophobia and xenophobic kinds of messaging, inflammatory messaging, will reduce. That's where you have it, folks. The impact of AI on fueling xenophobia at AFCON 2023. What are your thoughts on this subject? Do you want us to talk more of this? Put your comments in the comment section and let's have a conversation going. I look forward to this interesting conversation. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. And if you do that, we are going to give you a big shout out in our next episode, in our next show. Thank you and goodbye.